Gracias por eso. That was a good idea.
Hello, everyone. You're in the right place. We'll get started very shortly.
Ya está casi. Es que sí la tengo. No,
All right. Well, hello, and thank you for joining us on this beautiful evening for a special program unpacking the traditions of Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. My name is Ellen Owens, Director of Learning and Public Engagement at the Penn Museum. Before we start, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge that we are situated on the Lenape Hoking, the ancestral and spiritual homeland of the Unani Lenape. We express solidarity with Black, Indigenous, and people of color in our local, national, and international communities in civil rights and social justice. We thank you for your support in working towards a more empathetic and equitable future. And we are thrilled tonight to partner with the Mexican Consulate and the Mexican Cultural Center for this special event with artist Cesar Viveros. I'm pleased to turn it over to our partner at the Mexican Cultural Center.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Ellen. So my name is Yvette Compean. I'm the Executive Director of the Mexican Cultural Center. And on behalf of this organization and the Consulate of Mexico here in Philadelphia, I would like to welcome everyone. So thank you everyone for being here. And well, thank you for everybody that's connecting. You're in for a great experience.
So tonight we welcome a very special guest and a good friend of ours, Cesar Viveros, who spent the last 15 years creating public art in the United States and his native Mexico. Cesar's public work has been inspired by the communities he served throughout the years, for whom he's become the extended voice of their particular individual and collective ideologies. Aztec dances and ceremonies, miniature altars, sculptures, fresco painting, mosaic, featherwork. He does it all, and those are some of the signature elements of his work beyond murals. So he's really a Renaissance man. He's collaborated with the Mural Arts Program to produce 3 murals here in Philadelphia. And best yet, in 2019, he actually collaborated with the Philadelphia Folklore Project to present La Ofrenda, a large-scale altar in the 9th Street Commercial Corridor in South Philly. And this altar was built with inspiration and input from members of South Philadelphia's Mexican community. So who better to teach about ofrendas than Cesar Viveros? He's been the go-to artist every time we think of making a Day of the Dead celebration at the museum. And the slideshow at the beginning of this actually features some of his incredible altars over the years. So today, Cesar is not only going to share a little bit about the history, but actually kind of show us how to do it. So welcome, Cesar. Thank you for being with us today.
Thanks to you all. It's a great honor to be part of this celebration. For people who doesn't know me, Cesar Viveros, I've been mostly painting murals on the city of Philadelphia, but when I have time, I dedicate my life to promote any cultural aspect of Mexico. And Day of the Dead, one of the greatest celebrations that we have, happened to be in Philadelphia. We had the opportunity to do in museums, cultural centers, everywhere. And today I will have the opportunity to show you my personal altar that I've been created at home.
Well, Cesar, thank you once again for being with us. And well, let's start. And before focusing on the ofrendas or altars, like we also call them in English, could you tell us a brief explanation of what Day of the Dead is all about, and why is it so important for Mexicans and for Hispanics in general?
Day of the Dead happened to be very important and very sounded for all Mexicans and Latinos, because in the one hand, I will say it is Day of the Dead as we know it, representation of space and time that we set apart to connect with the departed ones. We believe that in these 2 days, November the 1st and the 2nd, are the souls of the beloved ones who departed already. They have the opportunity to interact with us. They come to us in this important moment through the altar. The altar is the main element. It's this offering that we do to welcome this person, but at the same time, also the altar becomes this spatial time where this connection is going to happen. It's like a portal. It's the altar is the most intimate moment that you have with you and the beloved ones. So you might be familiar with the skeletons, Coco the movie, skulls, sugar skulls, Katrinas, paper mache pieces. The more important thing on this celebration is the offering that we do at home. Everything that we do to welcome the souls on these 2 particular days. That's the Day of the Dead.
Okay, and there's this big thing about Day of the Dead. We keep hearing this festivity is like the ideal Mexican festivity because there's like a mix of the European Catholic traditions and the pre-Hispanic era. Would you agree with that, or could you tell something about that?
Mexicans in our pre-Columbian war, we were big on celebrations, anything that you can imagine. 260 days out of the calendars were dedicated specifically to celebrate the many aspects of our daily life. Like people was worried about celebration 260 days of the year. It's such a way that we have a special calendars on that out of the regular solar calendar of 360 days. So what happened is that for about 2 months, there is these studies that focus on how much preparation and celebration happened during the month of July and August, which is related to 9 and 10 months of the Aztec calendar. And when I say Aztec, I want you to understand that this is a nation-wide way of keeping track of time and celebrations. The Aztec flourished for about 200 years before the arrivals of the conquistadores. But before that, they learned the big deal from this custom. These traditions are millenarians. This is a few millennia preceding the Aztecs. So this is how important, how deep this is. Zapotec people, you name it. This goes back to the Olmecs, and we're talking about a long tradition. So just keeping that in mind, when the Spaniard came and our war merged, saying in a nice way, these two wars merged. The priests find out that it would be so hard to convert the native by force. You cannot convince somebody from one day to the next one about changing the whole way of life, philosophy, religion. So they look for ways to introduce the aspect of Christianity, and they try to understand what happened in Americas. But everything was a chaos. This encounter happened so fast in such a violent manner that it's a bad precedent for two cultures to learn from each other. So what happened with the years, decades after, when they started understanding the native, they decided that they would allow them to continue some of their practice as long as it wasn't that obvious. And Day of the Dead somehow, we don't have direct links of the celebration that we do today with the celebration that happened on the past in the pre-Columbian War. But there are so many similitudes. There are so many things that relate to what we did today. So what happened is that they allowed the natives to keep those traditions as long as they didn't name their entities, their God. I always want to say God, quoting, because the perception of these entities, this character, these personalities, this aspect of the natural world for which these nations gave names like Tlaloc, Mictlantecutli, all of them, the perception that the native have is so different that the concept that we have about God. Nevertheless, they use these notions to try to convey the ideas of Christianity into the New World. And what happened, and this is very important, this idea that they had to move this kind of celebration. They say, okay, you can keep doing some of what you do, but we're gonna do it the 1st and the 2nd of November. It's not a coincidence. That's a older tradition for Europe, Christian Catholics, to celebrate the martyrs, the saints. So it's a huge day for the Catholic Church, these 2 days. So they decide to kind of like introduce this new concept, and then the native saw an opportunity to keep carrying their traditions. This, anything related to the souls, to the dead, death coming, being with you, this offering that you could do to please them, welcome them, everything merged. And this type of syncretism create that we know today as Day of the Dead. That's why it's not just Mexicans, it's not just Central Americans, it's not a Latino thing. It became so big because little by little, Day of the Dead overpassed, and I can say it loudly, overpassed the celebration of these martyrs on the 1st and the 2nd of November. The celebration that happened 2 months now happened to be on 2 days. It's like compressing all these emotions, all this preparation in just 2 days and make it happen. Has to be big. That's what make Day of the Dead the biggest celebration for Mexicans.
Okay, very interesting, Cesar. And what about the ofrenda? Now, you've told us a little bit about Day of the Dead, and what can you tell? Could you tell our viewers a little bit the history of the ofrenda? I know later on you're going to show us actually how to make one, but could you give us like a brief explanation of the ofrenda? When was this idea born of putting or setting an ofrenda? If you know like the exact day when this was born, or was it just an idea, or what can you tell us about that?
Researchers are always going to contradict themselves. There is not an exact date, and I can tell you right here, there is not an exact date where, this is the celebration was born on time. You have to think all the progression that had to take through centuries. I mean, after the shocking encounter, losing all your belief, and honestly, like being losing anything, the world the way you know it. It took centuries. It took centuries to really try to hide these concepts into another ones, create the situation where you could do these kind of offerings in an obvious way. So the only thing that I can tell you is that this nationalism that happened on the 60s, in the 1960s in Mexico, with this government that we had at the time to promote this, what we call the nativism. It was around those years, along with the Chicano movement in the United States, all this move about going back to our roots, celebrate our traditions. Kind of like that's where we can say that Day of the Dead was born on Mexico, the way we know it now. This was happening centuries before. I mean, even 200 years ago, the natives saw opportunities when Mexico got independent. I will give you an example. When they were digging, when they were about to like build these cathedrals, they found one of the images, the Coatlicue. It's a powerful image with the two heads. The whole head is two snakes. It's huge. Everybody knows about Coatlicue. It was buried when they found it along with the Aztec calendar. They put it aside. They say, probably, okay, we might use it as a stone to keep building. They put it aside. And all of a sudden, in a matter of hours, hundreds of people, and then the thousands started gathering. They saw firsthand something that it was buried for almost 200 years. They were able to like see this and immediately they start gather flowers. This is an account. It's real. It's on history books. They started putting garlands of flowers, offering food. It was such a dramatic moment that they feel so touched, and they felt that they have this word that they lost. It's there. It's present. It's there. They can touch it. And well, the authorities were so worried about this that guess what? They buried it again. They buried. We didn't know for years about this thing until the new nation was born, Mexican independence. They were able to rescue all this, put it on special places that later with the years will become museums, and then researches, and then this education in college. And we have all this information now. So it was on the 60s when we have all this power movement. Like, let's make this our face. And Day of the Dead became the face of the movement everywhere. And that's where you start having groups in Mexico City making all these huge celebrations, putting altars everywhere. It was this boom all over. We already have elements that were incorporated by people who was working cartoneria. We have all these paper mache pieces that were part of another tradition. All of these sudden become part of the celebration of Day of the Dead with the production of calaveritas, Katrinas, all these pieces that you will see on today's altar. So this is the history that I can tell you that is real. Then UNESCO declared a national Day of the Dead celebration. So it's part of a worldwide heritage. People, we are so proud that we're doing that. And I guess the important thing here, more than knowing what is the exact moment, we know, we feel, even if the scholar doesn't agree sometimes, we know that many of the traditions that we know of from Mesoamerican touch the creation of image figures, either skulls or just bodies made out of some sort of bread, and also made with aramanto seeds, made with different compounds. You can see that mostly corn paste, and they did this image and they put it as offerings on their altars back there. This we have it today. We have sugar skull, we have pan de muerto. So all these elements are part of inherent from that culture. Everything has been embedded, and little by little, this collective notion is flourishing again in this century, and that's how we know it today. Altars are going to be so different. Now you have, this, forgot the name of the movie that they did on Mexico City on 2015, 16, and they create this parade, Day of the Dead parade, just for the movie. And the next year, the government took over and say, let's do this parade official. They start doing this parade with huge, gigantic Catrinas and paper mache pieces and alebrijes now. Alebrijes now become part of Day of the Dead. It's so strange how everything keeps evolving, and Mexican keeps adding layers and layers and layers on this, and this is beautiful. It's making it bigger.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, yeah, I guess the movie you were mentioning is James Bond, right? It's Spectral.
Spectre, I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Well, Cesar, I mean, listening to you talk about the dead and altars and all of that, I would like for you to show all our viewers and us, of course, if you could just go ahead and show all of us how to make an altar. I see you have a beautiful altar in the background, but could you start by telling us what are the elements of the altar and all those specific details?
I think I can do that. I will be able to do that. I just looking at this slide that we have here. We have to remember this Zapotec tomb was created to say goodbye to this dignitary. The important thing for us here on this picture on the screen is that we have these vases where people put food, the food that the departed one loved, and on that particular image we have vases where they put beans, where they put corn, where they put candies, where they put water, anything that he will have for the for that. So this image here talks about is about the representation of this person who has been buried. We have a dignitary there with all this food and everything. The image on the left, the base, pretty much talks about information related to him. People got the currency to commission artists to do these kind of things who are going to identify the people on this tomb. But sadly, I have to say we have to be real here. The image also includes an image of a woman. This woman is on her legs. She was a servant. She had to be sacrificed in order to be with him on this journey. And you can tell that by looking at the bases. The bases, the way they are painted and the way they are used, they weren't new. They weren't commissioned for this departure. They were used on daily life. So this is the thing that are going to be carried on this journey. The exegesis that you see there, it shows other dignitaries, other people that comes to say goodbye to this character. They have different things. They have copal, incense. They have kings. They have animals. They have different objects that will help this character to make his journey to Mictlan. And I'm so fond of this image, this picture. I love it because it kind of like show you how big is Day of the Dead in Mexico. You don't just make altars at home or you gather with people in your community and create this collective piece. No, you also go to the cemetery and you might spend the whole night there. This is this November the 1st and the 2nd in Mexico, everything changed, everything froze. It's like frozen on time because when the daylight goes away, you don't even notice that because people, thousands already on the tombs, on the cemetery, illuminating all these. Like you can barely walk among the tombs because it's full of flowers and it's full of candles. This is transforming in such a way that going there, it gives you this feeling that you are on the place where the beloved ones, for these 2 days, will be able to come home from this place. And that's why we celebrate it because it's the most important occasion for us, the opportunity to interact with the beloved ones for the last time on this year. And hopefully next year you can do it again and the year after. So these are the characters, Mixtecacihuatl and Mictlantecutli. The artistic depictions that they did is scary, I would say. Is impressive. If I know that when I depart, I'm going to have to face these beings, I better be prepared. That's why I take as much as I can on my journey. And on Day of the Dead, we know that these people is going back there. So they better get equipped with anything that they need for the journey. That's why we give them not just food. We also put a towel on the altar. We put soap. We put water. We put elements that are going to help him on this journey back. And one thing that I've seen on many towns is a very typical. They put actually new clothes or even the clothes that the departed one used, some of their favorite. They try to put a good amount of clothes so they can take it with them. They will like dress new and go back to this journey. And talking about the elements, I think that I wanted to tell you that the perception of the levels, niveles that we have on the altars, it changed from tradition to tradition, town to town, city to city. People might tell you, okay, the altar is like three levels where this is going to happen. Other people might tell you 7 is the 7 different situations that you are going to face on the way back. Everything is right. Everything is good because everything is true. It depends what you want to believe. Usually, and the most popular altars might have 3 levels, and the meaning of that is so diverse to that. I just gonna tell you that in theory, the first level, the higher ones, the one on the top, is where you put the deities. You put image of saints, virgins, in their case, the Virgin of Guadalupe, and that represent the heaven. And then the middle one, the second one, is where you put your portraits. Is where you put all these elements that remind you of the departed ones. Is represent that. And then the bottom part, you will have all these food, candies, offerings, anything that relates to what they want, what they would like to enjoy. So in this picture here, is a picture of my cousin, Erica. We were very little, 7, 8 years old, I think, 9 by the time she passed away. These pictures remind me of my childhood. I never saw her again. She didn't have the opportunity to grow older, to make a life. So I very fond of these pictures. I put them every year on my altar. My aunt Marta, she's happy she allowed me to use Erica's pictures because are important. This is the family. This is on this level, on this nivel. You're gonna have the picture of your beloved one. El abuelito, probably your abuelito, your abuelita is gone. Well, they're coming back, so put the portrait so they know that you are important. I have the picture of my brother Victor. Victor is in the middle. He passed away in 2018. My abuelita, she passed away in the year 2000. Erica, many years ago. So these pictures, and also there are some objects. As you see, next to la abuelita is the threads, the needle that she used to do things. The little toys kind of goes along and represent what Eriquita liked. My brother Victor, she's holding something there. So it's this kind of like things that help you remember them in a more personalized way. So pictures, remember, photos, important. Now, the things that you are putting on the next level is food. It's all these treats that you are having for the people. So typical, very important, not the only things. Pan de muerto. That's the first thing that is gonna come to your mind. Because the pan de muerto, the bread with the shape of balls, is usually very typical. It's a round bread, and then you have like 2 buns on top. These breads are made especially for these days. Of course, people ask for them in advance, but Mexico typically you have them on these 2 days. So pan de muerto, the one bread that you see on the image on the center. I have this bread, and it's hard to believe. It has been with me since the last year. From last year, this person, they own restaurant on Fifth Street. Is really close to Washington. I cannot say the name, but these people is very generous. They gave me this bread that they made to celebrate Anna's, my departed wife. So the bread is just say gracias. But this is very typical from a town where they make huge sculptures, anything you can imagine with just the bread. They create all these beautiful shapes with the bread. And she gave me this one that she says like a bag that I can hang, and it has his name because she said that this woman got so many opportunities on her work after she met my wife, after she interviewed her and made this work with her. So she's so grateful, and she gave me this special bread to put it on her altar. Now the sugar skulls, again, is something that you are going to see only this time of the year. The sugar skull can be small, can be big, can be huge. Very characteristic is to paint them with edible paint. So the kid who get this sugar skull is gonna eat it, of course, because they like the colors and they know it's sugar. They can eat it. So make sure they are painted with edible paint. One thing that is not showing on the picture is that always in Mexico, if you go to the markets, every calaverita, every sugar skull is going to have a name on the forehead. The tradition is that you buy those and then you give it away to people. It's just a way to keep connected. It's nice that people take the time to look for your name and then give it to you, and that's what it is. At the end, becomes a treat for the party ones. This image, I wanted to show you how I build my arch. And the one picture shows my kid Maximiliano was helping me to build the altar. So we got from Home Depot, we got this stuff that they use for construction. But honestly, you can find so many things on Home Depot. I'm sorry I say the name. I won't say it again. But any store where you get construction materials, it will give you many ideas how to build an arch. Because you can do it with reeds, you can do it with canes, you can do it with branches, you can do it with anything. But also you can go to the store and get materials that make your life easier. So I just put it together, I bend it, and I kind of like force the shape with wire. And once I got the shape, I proceed to cover it with the Day of the Dead plant. So you can see that I kind of hide the metal part with the plant. And I will show you later a picture of the arch, how it end up. But we have the flowers. Besides the food, I would say the flowers are one of the most important elements on the altars, because the flower, they are not just beautiful, they smell really nice, and they are a pleasant moment for the people who come to your house. On this case, this is more than that, because you can use the petals of the flower and make a pathway from the entrance of your house to the altar. If you can afford more, you can make this path of flowers petals from the street to the entrance of your house. And I don't think anybody can afford to build this path from the cemetery to your house. But it's just a symbol of this way, this path that you do for your beloved ones to get oriented. Just think about it. They go away for a full year, and they have to journey from Midland to the air that we step on, and they have to find the house. If they happen to come on the neighborhood, they might not be able to recognize it. They might not be able to recognize even the house, because maybe this year you painted with a different color, or you build a new wall, or you put a new window. So in the tradition, the petals, the colorful, beautiful color of the cempasúchil flower, that we call as Day of the Dead flower, the cempasúchil, they will see this bright color and they are going to be guided by the color. So think about color and think about the smell. And that's the function of the flowers on our altar. There is one more picture here. It again shows detailed elements of two keychains. These keychains are part of this Disney world. I didn't expect to ever, when I came to the United States, I never thought that I was going to go to Disney. I know the quintessential capitalism, iconic world of the States is Disney. I won't go. When my kids grow, of course, we did the trip to Disney. And my wife was a big fan of Mickey. She loved all these different characters from Disney. So this keychain belonged to her, and I just wanted to have it there. In the altar, you are going to have the most intimate objects that you can think of, because you are not going to please a visitor. It doesn't matter if your family comes or somebody comes. Ultimately, what happened here is that you create the most intimate place with the beloved ones that happen to come with you, and you have this beautiful, intimate moment with them. How beautiful would be for them to see that you take all the time to set up this table and put all these objects, all these clothes, all this food, anything that is very personalized. That means that you really knew her or knew him, and now you remember them with passion. That everything on this table will tell a different story. It will tell details of this person. So when you build your altar, think about this, all the things that you remember from the person. Don't be shy. Just bring everything out, letters, anything that brings memory, because that's the tradition. But in reality, we know that this is our way of healing to put things that make us remember and laugh and sometimes cry. But it's always about this emotion that we have, and they become alive, particularly on these days. You can see on these pictures, I create this box. I recycle a box, and I put different objects that remember these particular moments in time with my wife. And the picture on the right, you see the pathway. You see the flowers that we was talking about. You see the candle lights. Candle lights also, the smell can help too, but it's the lighting that helps the departed ones to come back home. So don't forget, from this journey, they are tired. They walk so much, and in this process, of course, they need to rest. So on my altar, I always put a chair or a bench. These objects, I have them from the past, and they were used in the past. So I just put them together for the altar. And this way, when the person comes, they can see it. The soul can rest. I put water so it can wash their hands. It can wash its face. It can be clean for this special occasion. Is welcome. And I have personal towel so it can, clean, dry the water out of her, out of him. And it's ready for the meal, ready for the occasion, ready for the festivity, ready for the feast. So on these pictures, just some close-ups of the elements. As you see, the main photograph, the main image is of my wife, and all the elements around here, all the photographs are about her. The stories on the little boxes, these little lights, all that relate to personal stories. You can see these cups. It's kind of funny because these 3 cups, we use them when we only have Ika, our one daughter. Maxi wasn't with us yet, so we bought this set of art clay mugs that my friend did for us on an occasion, and we keep them. We use them every day, but funny thing, we preserve them. We still have them, and I like to put them on the altar. They were used, and now they can be used again every year. The picture in the middle, la Virgen Morena, es la Virgen Mexicana. Hay un ángel, y son todas las imágenes que tú de alguna u otra manera puedas imaginarte que representan o que te ayudan a conectar con todas estas fuerzas superiores. Todo lo que tú crees y que es representado en esta iconografía de tradición católica son elementos muy grandes, muy visibles, importantes en estos altares tradicionales mexicanos. En la foto de la derecha tú ya puedes ver el arco. El arco yo lo hice, lo forré con las mismas plantas de flor de muerto y las mismas flores de cempasúchil las fui poniendo a través de todo el arco, iluminados levemente con luces, las fotos al centro, la comida, los objetos y el camino abajo que ayuda a nuestras almas a acercarse a nosotros una vez más. Pues espero que les haya gustado esta presentación y me siento muy contento de poder compartirles un pedazo de mi hogar, esta parte de mi casa que siempre la dedicamos para nuestra familia que ya se nos fue y que creemos que podemos conectar en estos días.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, Cesar, that's that was a great explanation. Thank you very much. And I see, I know we don't have a lot of time, but if you could show us I see at the back you have a beautiful altar, the one that you were showing on your pictures. Could you show us some detailed things that you have there so people can get more ideas of what to put on their altars?
I would love to do it. Yeah, this is a great way to get you closer to what I did. Because this already have like some last minute change, last minute additions, and this is the altar how it looks at this precise moment. So let me walk you through the altar, okay? I wanted to start with the pathway. The pathway it can have so many things. I like to put different pieces from paper mache, these different animals that now are part of our popular culture. After Coco the movie, now we have to include a lot of characters made of alebrijes, the so-called alebrijes. They become now part of Day of the Dead. So this path is made out of you can tell is wood chips. It's just wood chips from the distance. It looks like petals. You can actually color wood chips and you create this path. Now we have the candle lights. Candle lights and then the flowers are going to help the soul to find the way home. Flowers everywhere, the smell is going to attract them. And you can use, I like to use daily life objects to hold my flowers. These we use in the past, we continue using them. So anything here are the things that I have all year long and we use and we keep using. So some motif. We have different kind of sugar skulls. This sugar skull is actually just it's a candle. It's a candle that is gonna keep illuminating my altar. But the motifs that you see there have this connotation with the dead. But I wanted to take you to the arch. The arch that I built, I really like to put little lights that you can buy on places like, not making a commercial here, but I see more have tons of these little lights that you can use for your altar. And then the flowers, most of the flowers are still connected to the plant, just because this year I was able to grow some of my own plants, but also some of the flowers I just cut them and put them on the arch, and they become part of the composition that I create for this altar. So I wanted to keep it short because I know that we have other things to do, but I want you to just to take a look at. For me, the more important thing is the food, the flowers, and the candle lights. If I have that, what else?
Okay.
The picture might be some sort of a mirror for the people to probably see herself. Don't forget that the bread, the pan de muerto, you can buy it on the different Mexican stores. It's hard to get them now. I was grateful that my friends, I have a couple of friends who provide me with the bread. They were able to get it. One of my friends actually cooked the bread just for this occasion.
So you're starting to get some really great questions. If it's okay, could we start sending them your way? So actually, Yvette had a great question, and it was just why there's a container with salt on the altar. Why do you have that salt there?
Can you repeat the question? I kind of lost it at the end.
Oh, there's some salt on the altar, and we wanted to know why.
In altars, in some altars, there's salt, containers with salt. And I was asked that what was that, and I didn't know the answer. So I was like, oh,
La
let's
sal?
ask. Salt,
La sal? Okay,
sal.
got it. The salt, yeah, the salt is somewhere. I put it on a small container. Again, I'm just gonna tell you there are like different accounts, right? But in the one hand, is the color of the salt, the purity. The purity of the salt relates to the purity of the soul. As long
Mm.
as it's pretty much because of the color. Then you have the other version where can you imagine any dish without salt? It would be so plain, so simple. So the meaning of salt is also life, is the spice on your life. So you have those two accounts. You can take whatever you like the most.
That's wonderful. I love how personalized these are. It's like very much, relating to the person that you're building the altar for, the people you're building the altar for. Someone wants to know if you make the sugar skulls at home or if you buy them somewhere in the city. So give up your secrets. Where are you getting your stuff, Cesar, besides Home Depot?
The easiest will be go to buy them on the stores. Second one will be like keep following the Mexican Cultural Center and UPenn because they always doing workshops with artists who are creating sugar skulls. So if you go to the workshops, you get your own sugar skulls. And the third one will be like if you can make it yourself. It's very simple, like really is simple step, but you will have to like practice. Just to give credit to the artists who keep doing the sugar skull. It's a very you have to dedicate so much time and you have to pay attention to the details in order to do it. I try to do mines every year, and to be honest, the ones that you see here, I don't know if we are still the ones that you see here, they are from last year. So because I know I'm not gonna be eating them, I can still use them. That's a very beautiful thing about the sugar skull. They don't decompose. You can preserve them. I mean, if you have them in a dry space, they're gonna be good year after year. They kind of like gonna start becoming stone. but you can do it yourself. I just got it from last year.
You must have been reading our visitors' minds because someone actually asked, are the altars temporary? Are they saved for the year and available for the following year's observation of Day of the Dead? So do you save any of that stuff and bring it back, like the sugar skulls?
The sugar skull actually, if you keep it on a dry place and you are not thinking about eating it, if you are not going to eat it, you can use it year after year. I already did that, and I guarantee you they can last many years. Some of the things, like the bread, there is this particular way of doing the bread that if you again keep it in a dry place, the bread is gonna look the same. The bread that I show you is from last year. It's very artisan the way they did it. We can do a workshop about that, and you can make your own bread who last for the next year. But in reality, is that you go to the Mexican store and you buy the bread. People, I think that they already cooking the bread. One of the one that I show you with the cell phone that is from yesterday. I have this friend of mine who actually cook it at home just so we can have it today. Because on panaderias, this is my other friend who, at the same time, she was worried that I wasn't going to be able to have it. She was teasing the panadero so he could cook it. And last night he also cooked. So today I have bread, real bread that I can actually eat if I want from these two sources. My two friends who generously move around, one to get it from the store, my friend Yvonne, and then my friend Rosa, who actually cooked this bread and provided to me for today's. So I have to give credits to the people, right?
Very good. Yeah, I mean, Actually, someone had asked, do you have a recipe for pan de muerto? Do you think we could maybe work with you to get a recipe that we could post for our visitors that are interested in making their own pan de muerto?
For the pan de muerto, I will be lying to you if I tell you how to do it. But the one thing that I can do, and to be honest, I can connect you with this person. This is the only person that I know in Philadelphia that make it in a way that this bread you can keep it for the next years. It's a whole craft, and we can connect with this person. She has the restaurant on Fifth Street. I cannot say the name, but it's great. So now, also to do the actual bread, just to have it for the night and or eat it, yeah, we can provide that. It's not that hard, but we can ask Rosa, La Catrina. She can teach you how to do how she can do it herself.
Oh, and Cesar, you mentioned the sugar skulls. I do know our friends at the Magic Gardens actually are doing and have published a workshop on how to make sugar skulls yourself at home. So if people are interested in doing that, they can do that. Or we worked with Yvette to create a sugar skull activity where you can actually make them with paper mache. So they're guaranteed to last throughout the year. However, you cannot eat them, which might mean they're less fun. But Cesar, I just wondered if you could speak for a little bit about your project La Ofrenda, and what you might have learned a little bit from talking to all of those people about the personal altars that they built.
The project we did La Ofrenda last year, it was a 3 years long project where me and my wife, we collect stories from Mexican. And this is important to notice that altars are on households all year long. I would say for the person who create an altar at home for Day of the Dead, they usually have an altar where they have this specific saint of Virgin, and they have candles, and they do their praise, if not every day. And you find out about all different stories. So we wanted to create an ofrenda, an offering that reflects all these stories. So this project on 9th Street that culminated last year with this exhibition, it was pretty much about putting on that table, on this structure that we create, all these different stories. You could see this person gave me his Bible that the first day when he came to the United States, instead of bringing clothes or anything else, he just got water and his Bible, and he crossed the desert with his Bible because he was going to be a priest. And he, at some point in his life, he realized he wasn't going to become a priest, and he happily got married and have his family, but he kept his Bible and he crossed with it. So he has his Bible now. He lent it to me, and that's the kind of thing that we create at the altar. All these personal artifacts that people was lending us, and if not, we listen to the story, and it was my job to kind of recreate or make a perspective of it and create this altar piece on my own way. But remember that we did this around September. It was almost October when we made the big opening and we presented the altar. It was just for representation of all these stories, all these Mexican altars that precede Day of the Dead. So when the day came, we just decided to just shape it in a way that it was going to be Day of the Dead celebration too, with this existing altar. So what changed after that, it was more like the type of flower, like the cempasúchil flower, the kind of bread that we put in the table, the different portraits that we have on the table. So it kind of like shifted, but the core was there. The core was there. That space on 9th Street, it was a whole room that became itself the altar. As people entered the altar, they saw flower hanging from the ceiling. The whole space was covered with flowers, and that's our way of welcome people. So people who came inside the building became part of the offering. So that was the beauty of that particular altar that we did.
That's incredible, Cesar. We only have a few minutes left, and I wondered if you could just tell us a little bit about where we could see your art right now in Philadelphia.
Great. One thing for people who have to go to the Mexican consulate, right there on the lobby, the main entrance, is going to be blocked in a way that is not going to be used for that anymore. But me personally, I will be building an altar. So people who go to the consulate, starting, I will say, the last week of this month, they will be able to see this altar where they will see a lot of the Mexican tradition. It will be somehow it's going to be traditional, but it's going to have my perspective to a lot of the pre-Columbian Mesoamerican War will be seen clearly there. So that's the consulate. And then I wanted to promote this particular Day of the Dead that we are doing at Cherry Pierre Street on Delaware Avenue, Friday, October the 30, 7:30, Friday, October the 30. Come to celebrate at Cherry Street Pier. We're going to have a beautiful unveiling of a mural that I am offering to the city of Philadelphia just for these specific days, and also with a group of apprentices, volunteers. We have been putting together a sculpture, a three-dimensional representation of the Mictlantecutli lore of the underworld. So you want to know more about the Mesoamerican War, you want to see new art about Day of the Dead, come to Cherry Street Pier, Friday the 30 at 7:30. And then Sunday the 1st, please take note, Sunday the 1st on North Philadelphia in a lot, it's a community lot that it was abandoned, and a group of people we rescued, and we grow many things during the year. But this year I'm building an altar for Day of the Dead. You can come to this place and you will see many things. The beauty of this is that it's going to be outside. It's open for the public. The program is going to start at 3 p.m. Sugar Skull workshop is going to be poetry, and then unveiling on this sculpture again, and it's going to be so many things going on. So that's the 1st of November on North Philadelphia.
Wow, that's a lot of things you got going on, Cesar. We are so grateful to have you tonight. I wanted to, before we depart, invite all of our guests on behalf of the Mexican Cultural Center and the Penn Museum to create their own altar. And there's a little information here about how to do that. We're running a competition with the 3 top participants winning prizes. And you can do this at your house or in an office or in a school. And you just have to submit 2 pictures, a picture of the whole altar and a picture of the people that have made the altar with a sign that says Altar Contest 2020 with that hashtag. So you want to submit it by October 30th in the morning, and we're going to evaluate for presentation, creativity, and originality. But it's not just us. You can vote on your favorite altar on Facebook from October 30th through November 2nd. So please do join, and we're going to announce the winners live during an event happening on November 2nd, hosted by the Mexican Cultural Center. So, so very exciting. But Cesar, we're so thrilled to be with you today. And Yvette, you are the best. We love working with the Mexican Cultural Center. I'm going to turn it over to you to say a few final words, and we're so thrilled to have everyone here tonight.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ellen. Thank you very much, Cesar, of course. And thank you to all our viewers. We are very happy that you spent this time with us. So thank you. And also to the consulate. The consul wanted to be here tonight, but it wasn't possible. But anyway, I wanted to from on behalf of the consulate, Mexican consulate, just wanna thank Ellen and all her great staff. And Cesar, thank you.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you all.
Good night.